in today. Welcome back to Wellness Wednesday. As you guys know, my name is Dr. Linzi, and I am a naturopathic doctor right here in Iron River. And I specialize in helping people restore their health and revitalize their life. I always like to give the little disclaimer here so everyone's on the same page. Anything we discuss is for the purpose of general health support, not intended to treat or cure disease, rather to support overall physiology and optimize overall health. Always consult with your own primary care health provider before making any health changes, right? And so last week we talked about something really fascinating, how about 76% of adults in the US have at least one chronic disease. So 3 out of 4, and about how over half have 2 or more chronic diseases. So this is really important to learn about, to understand what you can do. So check that out. The recording is on my YouTube channel, Dr. Linzi ND. You can check it out, get that information so you can be informed, and not just be part of the statistics, right? So today I want to talk about something that honestly changed the way that I look at healing, not just for my patients or my clients, but for myself as well. So let's start with me asking you a question. So have you ever felt that you finally had a free afternoon, or you're sitting down on a Sunday, you finally get a chance to sit down on the couch and you literally realize that you can't relax? Maybe you finally went on a trip and you can't get yourself, it feels weird. You don't even know what to do with yourself. Or you immediately start thinking of all the things or the next thing you have to do. So some people will also notice that they feel guilty for resting, or that they really can't take a vacation because what's the point? They can't get themselves to relax anyway. Or when they go on vacation, sometimes they actually start feeling more anxious than when they're actually working. And so if you've ever experienced things like this, I want you to know that today is for you, because I want you to understand that maybe the problem isn't you're just bad at relaxing. I hear that all the time. Even my husband says that, oh, I can't just, he's getting better. So am I. But, I can't just sit still, or I can't just relax, or I'm just bad at relaxing. I just always need to be doing something. Well, what if your nervous system has actually forgotten what safety feels like? I want you guys to understand that we were never designed to live this way, to not be able to relax, to not have that sense of peace and calm. We unfortunately live in a culture that significantly applauds busy. It's like people wear exhaustion almost like it's a badge of honor. And I fall into this category too. I'm so busy. I do get my sleep in, but I hear people say, I'm so busy. I only slept 4 hours. I've been running all day. And somewhere along the line, we've started to believe that that's normal. Or actually, that's weird if that's not what your life looks like. But you guys, our bodies were never designed to live in this constant survival mode. Stress is supposed to help us escape danger, right? It's supposed to be temporary. Instead, many of us live here in this space, this stressed out space, all the time. And what starts to happen is our body can't recognize what it's like to not do that. So I want you to understand what happens physiologically, because sometimes we can actually understand what's going on in the body. We can actually be like, oh, I can actually change this. So what happens inside the body? So every time you experience stress, and this doesn't just have to be oh, I'm stressed, this person stressed me out. It could be we get sick, we get an illness, we go into surgery, different things. Those are stressors on the body too. Stress is not just like that I'm stressed. It can be all different ranges of stress on the body. But you experience a stressor, the brain signals your adrenal glands to release cortisol and adrenaline. And now that necessarily isn't bad, because these hormones are incredibly important. They help you think quickly. They increase your blood sugar so you have energy. They sharpen your focus. They increase your heart rate. And if you were being chased by a bear, that's exactly what you want, right? You want all that blood sugar pumping into your blood supply so that you can pump it to your muscles so you can run from the bear. You want all that adrenaline so your pupils can get huge so you can see around you and see better. You want to be in that super alert state. The problem is that today our quote bears that are our emails, our finances, our health concerns, our relationship struggles, our busy schedules, social media triggering us left and right, deadlines, traffic. And because those stressors literally never seem to end, our bodies stay on high alert. So this is the stress cycle, you guys. And this is where it gets really interesting. When your cortisol rises, many people actually feel good. They feel productive, they feel focused, they feel motivated, they're getting things done. Then comes the crash. Now you're exhausted, brain fog sets in, energy disappears, but instead of resting, looking at those symptoms as like, oh, my body needs to rest, instead of resting, you start looking for another reason to get moving again or to get stressed again without even realizing it. Another deadline, another project, another emergency, another cup of coffee, another energy drink. You crave stimulants. Hello, you guys hear me talk about that. I fall in that category. I like the next thing to keep me going. Another reason to stay busy. For a lot of people, more drama. People don't realize they're addicted to the drama. It's like when things actually get calm and peaceful, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I need to figure out who did something wrong, who I can be mad at, what this person did, the drama, the drama, the drama. That's a stress response. Your body is craving that cortisol and that adrenaline of who you're going to be mad at next or what you're going to be PO'd off about next. Like, you know what I mean? And before long, your nervous system begins depending on those stress hormones just to feel normal. And it actually feels abnormal and weird and uncomfortable to have calm and peace and rest. And so, you guys, that's the cycle. That's the addiction. Stress, temporary high, crash, crave more stress, repeat. And people can stay there for years, for decades, since they were a child. If since you were a child, all you ever knew was stress, in your home and whatnot. And this isn't to blame our parents, so they do the best they can, and then it's our responsibility as adults to take ownership and change. But a lot of this starts when we're children. If we're in a really stressful environment, if we're constantly around yelling, if we're constantly around XYZ and we're in this stressed out response as a child, this could be going on in this stress cycle since we were little because it's all we know. And so then when we are around peace or calm, or we are like, oh, something's not right, and then we got to get ourselves all jacked up again. And so I want you to understand some of the signs that your nervous system is stuck like this. So some of the things that I commonly see are people who feel guilty resting, people who can't sit still. Your mind races when you finally slow down, which is going to happen a little bit, but this is usually in people, it's like really excessive. Like their brain is just going a million miles a minute and they literally can't just allow calm. People feel exhausted, but they can't sleep, or getting enough sleep but waking up tired, constantly feeling like you should be doing more, or this is a really common telltale sign, people who only feel productive when they're under stress. It's like they can't motivate themselves or they can't get tasks accomplished unless there's like this massive deadline and this huge amount of stress and they're under this pressure, then they can do it, right? Or you finish one task and immediately are looking for another, not allowing any rest. And a lot of people, they don't even know how to enjoy doing nothing. Like that feels weird to them, or like, why would I just sit here and relax? And so if any of this sounds familiar to you, I want you to know that you're certainly not alone. And I also want you to know why this matters for your health. So the reason why I care so much about this as a naturopathic doctor is because, you guys, when your brain believes you are constantly surviving, your body doesn't actually, it physiologically can't prioritize healing. Your digestion slows, hormones become imbalanced, inflammation increases, blood sugar regulation becomes very difficult to manage, sleep suffers, weight loss becomes harder, almost impossible for many in this stage. Your recovery slows or doesn't happen at all. Your immune system starts going haywire, not functioning well, not being able to do what it needs to do. And this is one of the reasons why I tell patients and clients healing is about so much more than that next perfect supplement, or so much more than the calories, or so much more about finding the perfect diet. The nutrition and these things are important, but if the nervous system never feels safe, the body literally has a really difficult time. Well, actually, it physiologically can't move into rest, repair, rejuvenate mode. It can't do it. So here you are trying to do all these right things. You're trying to eat well. You're trying to move your body. You're trying to get your water in. You are trying to just like do the things that all the influencers and Instagram and TikTok and whatever people are telling you, and you're adding it to your list and you're doing all the things and nothing's changing. Well, if your nervous system is constantly running from the bear, your body's like, oh, this is great, thanks. I mean, it's definitely not going to hurt you. It's still a good thing, but it's not going to shift your body to where it needs to go because the healing can't take place. And so I also like to tie in a little bit of faith to this because I feel like so much wisdom comes from that. And oftentimes, you know, God leads us to what we need to be doing. And one of my favorite Bible verses is um, Psalms, "Be still and know that I am God." Couple things here, you guys, with that verse. Notice that God doesn't tell us that we have to earn rest, right? He gives it. He created the Sabbath, not because he needed it, of course, but because we do, you guys. And so stillness is not laziness. Rest is not weakness. More often than not, resting is one of the healthiest things we can do for our body. And I also don't know if you knew this. The Hebrew word for "be still," because I was just trying to really understand this verse, like, because of course you can unpack verses like crazy and to really get a depth of understanding. Well, the Hebrew word for "be still" is, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but "rapha," but it doesn't mean sitting quietly, like be still, sit quietly, like we may think, like I need to be still and sit here and meditate and be quiet. What that word actually means is to, are you guys ready for this? Oh, it gives me goosebumps. It means to let go, release, surrender. So God is not asking you to feel something or to sit still. He's asking you to stop gripping so hard. When you feel that restless soul, that inability to feel peace and to truly rest, it's what happens when you refuse to let go, when you keep carrying what God told you to hand over, when you keep trying to control what He's already holding. That's some powerful stuff, you guys. That's why healing involves the body, mind, and spirit. It's not just the body. It's not just the nutrition. It's not just the hydration. It's not just the movement. Those are important, but it is the body, the mind, and the spirit. And when we can recognize that and also recognize what we're called to do, be still and know that I am God, we are meant to let go, release, and surrender because as humans, we're not meant to carry all the things we carry. We're not meant to be so busy we can't sit and breathe and just be present, and feel joy. Those, we are not meant to carry all of this alone. And I think when we realize that, that can be part of breaking that cycle of stress. And this is also honestly one of the biggest reasons I created the Total Health Restoration is because people often think it's simply, oh, a weight loss program, or yes, I need to rebalance my hormones. Yes, I need to repair, my metabolism. Yes, I need to decrease inflammation. Well, while we're doing all that, and that's all important, we're also creating the conditions where healing can actually happen. We address the sleep, yes, the nutrition, the movement, the accountability, the inflammation, but most importantly, that stress, that nervous system, that mindset, those false beliefs, those patterns that you keep doing that aren't serving you, your spiritual health, whatever that looks like for you, the body, mind, and the spirit. Because true healing doesn't just happen when we force the body. A lot of times, I notice there's a lot of forcing, especially with females. Like, they're like, oh, I gained some weight, the scale went up. Okay, I need to get more restrictive with my diet. I need to run more. I need to start running more than just a mile a day. Now I need to do 3 miles. And now I need to not do this and not do this. And we just get like restrictive, restrictive, restrictive. What do you think that is doing to your nervous system? Do you think that that is creating a place of peace and safety? Or do you think you're trying to force more on your body and get more restrictive and more demanding, and now you're running 3 miles instead of one? And do you think that's increasing or decreasing your cortisol? Do you think that's perpetuating your addiction to stress or helping break the cycle? Do you think judging yourself and the negative thoughts of, oh, I put on 3 pounds, okay, I need to cut this out, I need to run 3 miles, I need to do this, I need to do that. Are you trying to force your body into that state? I see this with females, some males too, but especially females. Oh my gosh. The way we talk to ourselves, we would never talk to anybody else. And then the things and the demands we put on ourselves, we would never expect of another human, but we expect it of ourselves. And so we're actually trying to address, quote, the weight, but it's not about the weight. It's about that 3 pounds you probably put on was probably inflammation because you're so stressed and your cortisol's jacked up and now you're retaining fluid. And that's your body communicating with you like, hey, Susie, could we just take a breath here? And instead, you're like, nope, we're going to run 3 miles instead of 1. Nope, you're not going to have this, you're not going to have this, you're not going to have this, and you suck, and we need to do this. And you need to lose these 3 pounds. Do you think you lose the 3 pounds? Nope. Do you think if you took a breath, stepped back, and looked at that as your body communicating with you, and you took some rest and some rejuvenation, that those 3 pounds might just slip right off? Absolutely. And so that's why in the total health restoration, we are creating the conditions for health when it comes to the nutrition and the movement and those foundational parts when it comes to our physical body. But we're also creating an environment where the body finally feels safe enough to heal, where we're not forcing it and we're not talking negatively and we're not like jamming more. We're trying to create the habits that are going to allow our body to feel safe and to start to make that turn and allow us to like lock into what is already exists in our body. Because you guys, you hear me talk about it all the time. Our body has this wonderful innate ability to heal itself. And if we create the right conditions, it will do that. And things will start flowing again. You won't feel stuck. So the challenge for you this week, because you guys know I love giving, challenges and homework, is to take 5 minutes every day the rest of this week. So let's see, it's Wednesday. So today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I want you to take 5 minutes. Not a lot, right? Most people are like, okay, I can do 5 minutes. If you're like, I got to do a 60-minute meditation, I get that's a little overwhelming. 5 minutes, everybody can do 5 minutes. So I want you to take 5 minutes every day for the rest of this week. And for those 5 minutes, if you have to set a timer somewhere, do that. But no phone, no television, no multitasking. I want you to go outside now that it's safe and our air is a bit better. Go outside, breathe deeply, pray, sit quietly. Like literally no distraction, you guys, other than nature and the birds and the grass and some ants crawling on you. I don't know. But that's what I want you to do. And I want to notice what you feel. I want to notice, do you feel uncomfortable? Do you start to feel a little bit more anxious? I want you to know that discomfort is not failure. It may simply be your nervous system learning something it hasn't experienced in a really long time. Safety, peace, calm. When we sit there for those 5 minutes and we look around and we realize like we're actually safe. There is no bear behind us trying to chase us. The emails can wait. I don't need to be a part of that drama. All those things. Let me just literally, how people say touch grass. I literally want you guys to do that. That's your homework. But for 5 minutes. And I want you to see, like, are you good for like 30 seconds? Are you good for 5 seconds? Like how long until you're like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, because what we can do is we can practice this and we can extend it and we can start to train our nervous system and we can break the cycle. I want you to know that most people can't do this, but I believe in you and I believe that you can. And I would love to hear, like, if you guys actually do this. I want feedback. If you did, like, go on my social media, Facebook, Linzi Say Larson, and like comment on one of the posts or whatever that's about stress and be like, yep, I tried it. I made it 15 seconds. Or nope, I did it. I was getting agitated at 30 seconds, but I did the whole 5 minutes. This was super easy or this was super hard. I want to hear what you guys have to experience about this because I will say, 5 minutes is very challenging. So I encourage you to give it a try, do a little self-check gauge and see where you're at, right? And also I created something for everyone this week. I created a handout called Are You Addicted to Stress? The Survival Mode Self-Assessment, because I think this is so important because awareness is the first step in making any type of change. And so many people don't realize that they could actually be addicted to the stress and perpetuating some of their suffering. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's all different seasons in life and we go through seasons where things can come in and we don't have control over and things come into our life and we have to work through challenging times. I'm not saying because you're stressed or things are bad that you're calling it all into your life and it's all your fault. It's not that, but there is some ownership in the stress we experience and the things that we create in our life. And so having that awareness around that is going to be the first step. So this will be a great place to start and you can fill out the assessment and see what that means for you and where you're at. So how you get that is simply comment on my Wellness Wednesday Facebook post, or you can message me on Facebook, but it's Linzi Say Larson on Facebook. So Linzi, and then Say, S as in Sam, AIGH, and then Larson, LARSEN. And comment on my Wellness Wednesday post, like, hey, I love the handout, or message me, and I'll get you that self-assessment so you can see where you're at and start with that awareness, okay? Because as soon as you have awareness, that's where you can take ownership and you can make change, right? And also if you've been struggling with inflammation or that fatigue or that hormonal imbalance or that stubborn weight, digestive issues, poor sleep, or you simply feel like, yes, I already know, I don't even need the assessment, I know I've been living in survival mode for too long, I'd love to help determine if the total health restoration is a right fit for you, because I want you guys to understand that healing isn't about pushing harder. It's literally about creating the conditions where your body can feel safe enough to heal, and we can engage those healing systems that are already in place in your body that were beautifully designed for us to be able to heal ourselves. All right. And so, and I always want to thank you guys for tuning in. And I always want to remind you to take great care of yourself, because your health is truly one of your greatest, it is the greatest investment you'll ever make, because without your health, you truly have nothing. You can't do anything else. So it truly is the greatest investment you can make. And so I really hope that today's episode encouraged you to explore new ways to support healing and helped remind you that healing is actually possible. And I always want to encourage you guys to make creating the conditions for health a priority in your life, and to keep supporting that incredible body of yours, which includes resting, and supporting that body, mind, and spirit. And to remind yourself that your body is always communicating with you. The goal is not to silence the messages coming in. It's to understand what it's trying to say. And so I want you guys to learn to trust your body, to trust nature, and to trust that incredible wisdom that God has built into our design. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Actually, I feel like I'm in the psychiatrist's office on the couch.
Right?
Yeah, because well, here's an example. I mean,
Yeah.
It's sort of like what you want people to write in on. I was a sales engineer 38 years, and it's every day was travel, clients, phone, computer, chat. Continuous busy, or you're no downtime. You got no downtime.
Right.
Now I've switched over to pretty much what you're saying. Mornings, I drink a glass of water before I have any coffee.
Perfect.
No phone or TV.
Good. In the morning? You do it. Okay.
Natural sunlight. And
Wonderful. You've been doing that?
Play with the dog.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that'll bring you some joy.
It made a difference because I'm like YouTube addicted about things and
learning things, and which is good to learn things, but it can get a little out of hand.
Right.
And if your eyes and your brain, as soon as you wake up, are going to that YouTube and that scroll, it doesn't feel good to the nervous system. So you started doing that in the morning and starting your day with that?
I have, yes.
And does it feel better?
Oh yeah. It's like, but it's a little uncomfortable, as you say, a little uncomfortable in the beginning, because it's like I got to be doing something, but then you let all these things, you just relax, and it feels better.
And do you feel like it sets the tone for the whole day?
Yeah. And then what I do here too is I stretch before I get on the air.
Perfect.
But all those things that makes for a better day.
That's wonderful. And the thing is when you start your day with that, let's say, so you started your day with that. Now let's say at some point later in the day, something stressful really does come up, because we can't always control everything, and not everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows, right? And so something stressful comes up, but you started your day like exactly with the routine that you explained. The level that your cortisol will jump for that stressful thing will not go nearly as high if you would have started your day with the caffeine, with the scrolling, with the dopamine, and then something stressful happens later in the day. Boom, it goes right, and it takes so much longer to even for that cortisol to come down to get you ready for sleep.
Yeah, you're at a lower baseline.
Yes, you started with a lower baseline. So if there is something that you have to deal with that is stressful, life's going to happen. It's not messing you up so much and creating this massive adrenaline that makes it so hard to come down from. And it can take a long time to come down from. People don't realize one thing that helped when I was learning about this whole stress response and how we can be addicted to it is that, let's say something really gets you angry or really gets you stressed, like really bad, like it's like a massive trigger, you have a full-on like anxiety, stressed, like kind of freaking out a bit, which may not happen all the time, but for some people it happens more frequently than others, especially if their baseline is already so high, it doesn't take as much to trigger it to jump even higher. So, but what really was eye-opening to me, because I'm just like this visual person, is that that response, that intensity of that response, it can suppress your immune system and it can keep those hormones, the cortisol and the adrenaline, elevated in your system for up to 3 days.
No. Wow.
That was mind blowing to me. I thought, like, okay, I do some deep breathing after I calm down, it's okay. No, that keeps your nervous system jacked, your immune system suppressed, all the negative things for days. And so that was helpful because if we can, when people say to respond instead of react, for example, right? So when you can just slow it down for just a split second so you can get the opportunity to respond instead of just going into that reaction, that realization helped me slow down enough where I could feel it like, okay, I'm going to lose it. I'm about to get mad. Like, this is really upsetting. That whole addiction, like, there it is. I'm getting my next hit, right?
Bear's coming.
The bear's coming. And I could breathe and be like, oh man, I do not want this in my system for the next 3 days. What if I'm going somewhere and someone's sick and my immune system's suppressed? I don't want that suppressed for the next 3 days. I don't want to deal with how this feels for the next 3 days. So I would take a breath before the response and break that cycle. And yes, it can be uncomfortable. Yes, it can feel weird, but you are helping your body so much. So imagine people who are chronically stressed and it's always the next drama, always the next big ordeal. My husband is so helpful. He'd always he helped me with this realization because he's like, Lindsay, everything is not an emergency. Because I'd always be like, oh, this, that, oh, I gotta. He's like, can we just like breathe for a second? Like, we're not in a catastrophe. Everything is not an emergency. Like, sometimes there are true emergencies. Yes, this is not that. So let's calm down. And sometimes when you're in that moment, you don't want your lovely husband telling you to calm down. So his wording was helpful when he switched it to, we're not in an emergency. Then I wasn't taking that as like a personal insult. Well, you calm down. No, you calm down. And then you're like, it's just not helpful for anybody. Or don't you tell me to calm down. I'm really not going to calm down now. Poor Jake. But instead, I liked his wording of, hey, we're not in an emergency. So we can even say words like that to ourselves when we feel that stress response coming on to be like, okay, is this an emergency? No. Okay. So let me take a breather and break that cycle, right?
Yeah. The other thing about personal relationships, and I still struggle with this because my temperature goes.
Yeah.
You say things you don't want to say.
You say things you don't want to say?
You don't want to say.
Right.
You regret
What
it.
is that?
Because
isn't that wild?
Yeah.
How we do that?
And then it lingers for years, like
Right.
stress.
Yes. Well, and one thing I found helpful with that, I have another handout for that. I love my handouts, but there's this acronym you can follow that helps you communicate when you're feeling triggered. Because a lot of times when people are feeling triggered or you say something that you really don't want to say, you're really ending up saying it because you want to feel heard or you feel hurt. So then you kind of want, even though you know it's not right, you kind of want to hurt the other person a little bit because they hurt you. Yeah. And so if we can step back, and one of the best ways to handle that and breaks the stress cycle as well is they call it like stick to the facts. So what you can say is, you know, you said this, not you made me feel, or you did this to me, or because of you, I feel, because that's when people get defensive, and then it's just a big blow up. Hey, you happen to do this, and it's factual. Like, what did they actually do? Or you said that. Did they actually say it? Okay, that's a fact. You're sticking to the facts. And then you say, I feel really hurt. I feel really upset. Because then if you're talking with somebody who truly cares about you and you're just saying, this is how I feel, most decent humans would be like, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you don't
or
get defensive.
You don't get defensive. And then you go to the solution. What I would really like is if you didn't say that anymore. Or if you could say it in a kind way. Yeah. Or if you could, and then you just express what you actually want. So now you're having a conversation that one doesn't feel as stressful, isn't escalating. You're expressing how you actually feel. So you're getting that out. And then you're trying to come to a resolution. Now, sometimes people will still be hot-headed or you'll still get a very difficult person and they're like, well, you da-da-da-da and you da-da-da-da. And what you have to do is not engage. Don't engage in the stress cycle. Yes, don't enter the stress circle. Say, okay. And what you do is they call it broken record. You just say, okay, what I really would like is if you could just speak kindly to me. What I really would appreciate is, and you just repeat the broken record. And if they still keep coming at you, usually two things will happen. One, they'll just get frustrated because you're not breaking and you're just, sticking with it.
It takes two to tango.
Yes, exactly. Or two, they'll finally be like, okay. You know what I mean? And it actually does work. I've used this method many times, and most people will kindly finally just be like, "Oh, all right, I see what you're saying. All right." Every once in a while, you get like, the person who's just in it, and they'll be like, "Fine, whatever," and they walk away, and then you can come back to it at a different time. But at least you didn't engage your stress response. You remained calm. You were able to express what you were feeling, and that's important. But we can do it in a way that doesn't engage the drama, doesn't engage the stress response, keeps our poor nervous system protected because it has to deal with enough. There's so many tools we can do. So I just hope that was helpful for you guys and you guys learned something today. And if you want to see where you're at on the self-assessment tool of your stress addiction, just reach out and I'll get that self-assessment tool over to you.
All right.
Okay.
Dr. Linzi, this is your Facebook right here, right?
Well, yeah, so that's my professional one, but if you type in Lindsay Say Larson, because it's more fun on that one.
Okay.
The professional one isn't as fun on Facebook. Facebook makes the professional page kind of lame. So I just started sharing mostly on my personal page.
Oh.
So my personal page is Lindsay Say Larson. Yep. And when you pull that up, that is the one that I share on mostly.
Okay.
You
because you also have a website too.
I do have a website. Yep.
Lots of good information on it.
Yeah, lots of good information, and you can put in a message there. But often the fastest way to get a response or connect with me is really on Facebook because I set certain times where I go on social media and I do my post and I respond to comments or I respond to messages, and so that is often the best way. And then you can see all the different things I post, all my lovely favorite handouts, and it works out well.
Cool.
All right, thanks so much.
Yeah, Dr. Linzi, it was great.